Dear noble ones, today's the day. Today is the day of vindication. It is the day of vengeance. Today is the day, my friends. So on Nature here, but I've got a few open, ready here in the tabs. We read, first human genome from ancient Egypt sequence from 4,800 years old teeth. 40 years after the first effort to extract mummy DNA, researchers have finally generated a full genome sequence from an ancient Egyptians. Big deal! And you know why this is a big deal, noble ones? This is a big deal because of the date. You see, this is not genome from an ancient Egyptians from the New Kingdom. This is not a genome of, but it's Ptolemaic Egypt. No, sir. This is from the very beginning of Egyptian history. We've got a full genome. So, if we consider some of the debates that I've had online over the years, this guy should be from what? Sudan? Am I right? Because if he's not, then we're going to have a problem. Because this is the very beginning of ancient Egypt. And I'll tell you all the details on who this person was, but let me just say that if anyone is going to try and say, oh, probably a tourist, this guy was pretty high, elite, pottery worker, so no, this was an ancient Egyptian, all right? Oldest and most complete ancient Egyptian human genome ever sequenced reveals ties to... I'm sorry, I need to do that.
Mesopotamia.
But this is not, you've seen nothing. You've seen nothing. Now here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Ancient Egyptian genome reveals 4,500-year-old genetic ties to Mesopotamia. This is a big deal. So this study is a study that is very recent, very recent. Finally, we see an ancient Egyptian genetic connections, and it's Levantine. Man, I've been saying this. Anyways, this is the actual study. This is the full study. I've already read the entire thing, which took a while. I'll be honest with you. And when it comes to the genomic stuff and all the detailed explanation, I think I might need help from a professional. But regardless of that, my friends, and for this one, I'm opening chat because I need to see what everyone and share the truth once and for all. I need to open this to everyone. Everyone. Now, it's not, I'll be honest, okay, because you know me, I'm always intellectually honest, regardless of what people say. Of course, this is one person. So it's not that now I'm going to say every single ancient Egyptians had ties to the Levant, or that every single one had ties. But because I'm not the one who says they were all black, but I'm the one who said they were mixed, it seems like a certain expansion and population relocation already was a thing at the very beginning of ancient Egypt, as we always said. And now we have proof. So how about we have a look? Let's read a little bit from here, read a bit from there, and then we see. So, teeth from an elderly man who lived around the time that the earliest pyramids were built have yielded the first full human genome sequence from ancient Egypt. And I'm all for it. The remains are 4,800 to 4,500 year old, overlapping with a period in Egyptian history known as the Old Kingdom of the Age of the Pyramid. They harbor signs of ancestry similar to that of other ancient North Africans as well as people from the Middle East, researchers report today in Nature. This is huge. And I'll show you, because what we are reading today, if you do this, okay, it shouldn't be that surprising. Because you see, when people claim that the ancient Egyptians' origin is down here, they're out of their mind. When they say it's from here, I'm like, okay, fine, I can see some people moving, great. If they say from Sudan, I'm like, well, that's relatively close. And one thing that I do agree with a lot of people that are usually my intellectual opponents, but I still will say it if I agree, is that if we consider the African humid period, then yeah, the Sahara wasn't a barrier if we go really, really back in time. Like I'm talking 14,000 years ago, all the way up to 5,000 years ago. This was green and all that, so it wasn't a complete blockage. Problem is that what they fail to admit is that there is no barrier here either. And what people often don't realize, I suppose, is that the African continent is literally connected by land to Asia and the Near East, which means you can walk it. So how are people okay with thinking that the ancient Egyptians, they were all from this area, they're okay with them going through this, but when you say, but what about population movement like this, not to mention that you can move by sea, and we know for a fact that all of these populations, see the Phoenicians for example, did move by sea. So you can do this by sea, and you can do this by land, and yet they act as if there is a massive barrier here, which makes absolutely no sense. And now, not only we had clear indication of cultural continuity and connections between people from the Levant and ancient Egypt, because if ancient Egypt had zero connection to this section of the world and the Eastern Mediterranean, it would literally be the only North African area in the sea that would have zero connection, since Libya has those connections. Tunisia and Carthage, we just demonstrated that it's connected to the entirety of the Aegean, in fact, and to Europe up to a certain extent. And I know they're gonna hate me for saying that, but I'm not saying it. DNA analysis is, and that's the same all the way here. All of this coastline, including my beautiful island of Sicily, is being continuously moved, showed population clusters from this area to go, but for some reasons they didn't go to Egypt. It is obvious that this is a conduit of multi-ethnicity. It is multi-ethnic like the rest of it, of this area here, but yet they act like this is a barrier. Well, it's not, and now we have proof, because the one single complete genome that we have from this period genetically connected to this area of the... What you gonna say now? Are you gonna admit, oh wow, this goes away? Of course not. They're gonna say it's a lie. But who cares? I'm making this video for you, not for them. Abstract. Ancient Egyptian society flourished for millennia, reaching its peak during the dynastic period, approximately 3150 to 30 BC. However, owing to poor DNA preservation, questions about regional interconnectivity over time have not been addressed because whole genome sequencing has not yet been possible. Here we sequenced a 2 times coverage whole genome from an adult male Egyptian excavated at Nuwayrat. Sorry if I mispronounced it. This is south of Cairo, well, not too far from Memphis, in fact. Radiocarbon dated 2800 to 2800 BC, okay? He lived a few centuries after Egyptian unifications, bridging the early dynastic and old kingdom periods. The body was interred in a ceramic pot within a rock-cut tomb. And by the way, it's because he was a potter, among other things, potentially contributing to the DNA preservation. Most of his genome is best represented by North African Neolithic ancestry among available sources at present. Yes, approximately 20% of his genetic ancestry can be traced to genomes representing the Eastern Fertile Crescent, including Mesopotamia and surrounding regions. So, this ancient Egyptian, we don't know how typical he was, but this ancient Egyptian has ties to local populations in North Africa and the Levant. Nothing further down. This genetic affinity is similar to the ancestry appearing in Anatolia and the Levant during the Neolithic and Bronze Age. But we did see that already the Carthaginians had Anatolian ancestry and Aegean ancestry, DNA and makeup. And once again, we see the same in Egypt. And it shouldn't surprise us because, again, North Africa is in the Mediterranean. This is what these people did. Whether you like it or not, these were seafarers. And they were settlers, they were colonizers, and they were spreading for economic reasons. Sometimes it's more a trade network. Although more genomes are needed to fully understand the genomic diversity of early Egyptians, as I was saying, of course, I'm not going to say one is enough, but according to certain people, this should have been a guy from Sudan. Our results indicate the contacts between Egypt and the Eastern Fertile Crescent were not limited to objects and imagery, such as domesticated animals and plants, as well as writing systems, but also encompassed human migration. And human migration means intermixing. And intermixing is exactly what we are finding here, since 20% is from the Levant. This is phenomenal, guys. This is like, it's exactly what I've been expecting. Like all the years where we were looking at the pictorial evidence, we were looking at the debating all the ways, oh, but it depends because the colors and the pigments. And then, but what about these vases? Because these vases are used as well. The same techniques are used in Mesopotamia. And they were like, no, because not from this place. We fought over this for years. Kept telling me I was lying. And now genomic, they do one, and he points to the Fertile Crescent. 0 DNA from Sudan or Horn of Africa and whatnot. It is notable that both our QPADM modeling and admixture clustering excluded any substantial ancestry in the Nuwayrat genome related to the 4,500-year-old genome from Mota, Ethiopia, or other Central, Eastern, or Southern Africa. Southern Africa. I'm sorry. This is... Get a drink. Ooh, we need a drink, guys.